it partially paralyzed part of my face, something I really regret doing. Where do you get both done? So hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica and today's video is the long-awaited jaw Botox and lip filler Q&A. So a little bit of background, I've been getting both jaw Botox and lip filler since 2017. So everything I talk about today is actually based on my own experience. I'm not a nurse, I'm not like a licensed esthetician or anything. This is just my own personal advice from being botched, knowing what to look out for so you don't get botched. So first let's talk about lip filler, which I think is the most common plastic surgery or injections done in America. I'm actually going to show you a before and after picture from each time I got it done. So first and most importantly, I'm going to talk about when I got botched. So in 2018, I got botched by a nurse, and what had happened was she had filled in a line right here. It looked like cartilage was stuck in my mouth, like right from my nose all the way down here. At the time, I didn't think it was necessary to get it dissolved because people tell you that lip filler dissolves on its own eventually. I lived with that for like 4 years and it still never went away. The beginning of 2021, I got it dissolved, but there's still a little bit, it's not as noticeable anymore, but I still feel it. I can still see it sometimes, you know? So that's the number one thing I would tell anybody who's considering lip filler. Lip filler doesn't dissolve completely. Most of the time that you think that your lip filler is dissolving, it actually has spread out. So the first question is, do you ask your nurse for a specific shape or technique to get the look you want? So yes, I used to bring in reference pictures of what I wanted. When I got it first done in 2017, I had asked them to make the top and bottom lips to be exactly the same size, which is honestly not natural for my face. So they had filled in my lips and made the top lip a lot bigger. I felt like I looked like, you know, the duck lip look. So I went back to them and they ended up filling in the bottom one more. But ever since then, I've asked for a more natural look. So now I don't try to change my lips to make it look like the duck lip look or anything. I always ask my nurse for something very natural that looks like my lips, just bigger. And then as far as technique, she does use the threading technique, which is where they inject and then like they do several pumps of the filler into various areas so they don't have to keep on pulling out and sticking it in. How do your lips feel after? Your lips are gonna feel harder. They will feel very swollen and sensitive. Right after you get lip filler, it's also hard to move your mouth. You won't be able to use a straw or anything. But that all goes away after the swelling dies down, so maybe after 2 or 3 days. And after the swelling, your lips feel no different from how they normally feel. They're just bigger, but you like regain all that flexibility, you know? How long does it take to heal? So it depends from person to person. Like some people bruise easier, some people swell easier. Usually my bruising goes away after 3 days, but my lips might still be a little bit swollen, not enough to be noticeable, like where people are like, oh my God, you just got lip filler. But I think after 1 week, the swelling goes completely away. How many cc did you get? So I actually do not know how much cc I usually get because it varies. So the first time I got it done, I know that we used a lot because my lips used to be a lot smaller. And obviously, every time you get lip filler, you don't get the same amount because, as I said, the lip filler doesn't completely go away. So the first time I got it done, I think I used 1.5 syringes. And after that, I've always just asked for them to fill it to make it natural, but I don't think I've ever used a full syringe after that. I think I just keep on adding half a syringe. And that kind of ties into the next question, how do you get your lips to look so natural? For me, I don't think I've ever overdone it where I've like filled in a lot each time. But the reason why a lot of people have a natural looking lip filler is because they're putting too much in and they're not getting it dissolved. So what's happening is maybe on their first time getting it done, they put in 2 full syringes and it might look really good because that's the first time they've ever gotten it done. So it's the perfect shape. But as time goes on, they might think that the lip filler has gone away completely. So if they used 2 syringes last time, they're like, oh, put 2 more syringes in. And at this point, it's 2 syringes in plus everything that was left over. So I think this buildup over time where they continually do this, it ends up leaving, I'm sure you guys have seen it, it's like a border around their lips of just filler. As you put in more, it's just moving out and out. And that's another point I want to make is I believe you should get your lip filler dissolved in cycles. So for me, I started to notice actually a little bit of migration outside of my lips, and I wanted to get rid of that weird cartilage looking thing when I got botched. So that's why I ended up getting all of my lip filler dissolved. So keep in mind, if you are planning on getting lip fillers done consistently, you should also know that you will have to get them dissolved eventually, which is also a service you'll have to pay for. Does filler shift when you eat? Can they pop? No, lip filler does not pop or move when you eat. When you get lip filler done, your nurse will like start pulling at your lips and like moving the filler around. They're trying to move it around to get the perfect look. They have to do it quickly so the filler doesn't settle into any area that they don't want. After that, it's settled, it's not moving. Tips to prevent the filler from migrating. I don't think there's much you can do about lip filler migrating, because for me, I always ask for them to do a very natural look. We just did a little bit each time, but still, you know, after 4 years, I did have to get it dissolved because I did notice it migrating outside of my lips. The top lip was just getting bigger, like it started to like move out like that, which means there's migration in there, there's filler where it's not supposed to be. So yeah, the lip filler is going to migrate. You will have to dissolve it eventually. How often do you get lip filler touch-ups? So usually people get lip filler touch-ups every 6 months. I usually go once a year because I know migration is gonna happen eventually and I want to hold that off for as long as possible. Any extra advice about getting lip filler? So my main piece of advice is to do your research extensively about the nurse you're going to before you go, because that would really suck to get botched and then have to pay extra to get it removed. Sometimes there are situations you can't foresee. Like for me, I did do a lot of research into the nurse that I was going to, but I still ended up getting botched. So that was just like a mistake. But yeah, for the nurse that I eventually found who I really like, just go through their Instagrams, look at the previous work they've done. You can look for somebody who maybe looks like you, who's gone to them before and gotten a procedure and you liked their result. For me, I go to an Asian nurse and she's done a lot of Asian clients, so I knew I was gonna like the result that I was getting. I was actually introduced to her through my friend Joyce. My sister had actually gone to her before too for chin filler, but I really wanted to go to my nurse after I saw my friend's lip filler results. And then I looked through her page and saw all of the other clients she did, and they all had very natural results. I think it's almost like finding a tattoo artist. Some of them have their own style. Like if you want the Instagram type of look or like the celebrity type of look, you can go to a different nurse. If you want like a natural look, you can go to another nurse. Just focus on finding that person who specializes in the style you want. And that's it for the lip filler questions. So let's move on to jaw Botox. So for jaw Botox, I feel like a lot of people don't really know what this is. When I posted about it, a lot of people were confused about what this procedure is. So I'll show you my results. I also started getting this in 2017. So first off, I've also gone botched with this one. You may be able to spot it out in the pictures. Comment what you think it is if you see it. So what happened was, it partially paralyzed part of my face. That sounds really scary, but first let's explain what jaw Botox is. This is also known as masseter Botox, I believe. It's right here. Let me bite down for you. Do you see? You might not notice when I bite down, it juts out a little bit, but I do get jaw Botox, so that's why it's like not jutting out as much as it used to. But try this out at home right now. If you clench your jaw, you can feel a muscle poking out. Essentially, that's what jaw Botox is supposed to paralyze. It paralyzes that muscle right here, or I should say it weakens it, but most of you guys probably know Botox as the stuff that gets rid of wrinkles, right? And the way that it gets rid of wrinkles is not like from filling in the wrinkles or anything. It's from like weakening those muscles. So I don't get Botox here, but if you do this, you see, what you do is you just put Botox here, it weakens that muscle, so when you frown, you can't contract those muscles together. And so that's what's done with jaw Botox as well. So for some people who have a very strong jawline, if they get masseter Botox, it makes their face appear slimmer. I believe this procedure is most effective for people with square jaws. Like if you have a jaw that goes like this and out like this, or you could also test it from biting down and you feel that muscle and it's like pretty big, you feel like it jutting out a lot, that means this would be a really effective procedure for you. So that's all jaw Botox is. I know a lot of people were confused. They were wondering if it was like a filler. It's not filler. And the way I got botched was the nurse I went to injected, it was either too high or too low. And this ended up weakening the muscle that helps me smile. So instead of being able to smile like I usually do, like, it ended up making my smile go out. Like I couldn't pull my muscles up, so it would be like. And I noticed this when I saw pictures of me laughing. When I was laughing, I was like, I don't think people could tell that it was from jaw Botox, but it just looked very unnatural, and I feel like it made me look meaner. And that's why I feel like you should be very careful if you're getting jaw Botox. Make sure you find a nurse who does this procedure often or has results on their page of clients who have gotten it done, because you do not want to get botched with jaw Botox. Unlike lip filler, you can't just dissolve the Botox. You have to wait it out and wait for it to go away completely on its own. This nurse had actually been recommended to me by another friend, but I did not do my own research and look for their results on their page, and this is not something that they usually do. Like, I don't think it's one of their most popular procedures, so there weren't many pictures, and I was like, oh, I'll just try it, which is something I really regret doing. So yeah, you can trust your friends to an extent, but make sure to do your own research as well. So that's it on how I got botched. There's nothing you can really do to fix it. You just have to wait it out and stay botched for a year. So let's get into the questions. Does jaw Botox get rid of double chin? I have a very round face and no jawline. No, jaw Botox does not get rid of a double chin. The point of this procedure isn't to remove fat, it's only slimming your face from the muscle you have. What made you start getting jaw Botox? I tend to grind my teeth so hard and thinking to try Botox. What made me start getting jaw Botox is I actually just wanted to get a slimmer face. It wasn't for TMJ or anything like that, although I know that that is a popular reason why people get jaw Botox. For me, I just felt like my face shape made me look more conventionally masculine than I would have liked. So I got it done and I really liked the result. Would you recommend people with asymmetrical jaw to get jaw Botox, and would it help? So I actually had an asymmetrical jaw. I had like one side was bigger. I put 25 in one, 20 in the other, and it evened it out. But if you have an asymmetrical chin, it's gonna make that more pronounced, because what you're doing is you're slimming this in and you're making it more even. So then it's like everything's symmetrical except for your chin. Will jaw Botox change a cleft chin? Nope, because it's just changing the muscle. What happens if you stop getting jaw Botox? So if you stop getting jaw Botox, it just goes away. That's why if you don't like the results, it'll just go away, but it will take time. What's the recovery time for Botox? So jaw Botox, it actually there's no recovery time. There's like no swelling or bruising or anything like that. Your jaw might feel like a little strange at first, and usually the nurse or doctor will tell you this, but you aren't supposed to lay down for like a few hours after you get it done, because it could like transfer to other areas of your face and paralyze them. But yeah, it starts working instantly, and then you'll start seeing results after 2 weeks. Does jaw filler become less effective visibly because your body gets used to it? No, actually. So a lot of my friends have said that every time they get jaw Botox, they feel like it lasts longer. So I think if anything, it becomes more effective. I feel like it always just has the same length of life on my face, and I over the years have continued to get less each time. So do you feel stiff or restricted after getting Botox? No, the only thing is that I think you can't, like for the first week or so, you can't like bite as hard. Like if you chew on foods that are too hard, or if you like are doing the chewing motion a lot, like chewing gum, it might feel sore in your jaw. But other than that, there's like no issue. Do you ever need to take breaks from jaw Botox? Yes, you should be taking breaks with jaw Botox. You should not be getting it too often. There's this distinct time I remember when I was telling my nurse that I wanted to get it done again, and she told me, no, take a break. And this is when I knew I really trusted her. She told me to take a break because otherwise it would look unnatural. My face would look too slim. She could tell it hadn't fully gone away yet, and if I got more in, my face would look too hollow. And she was afraid it would weaken the muscle too much and paralyze it. That means chewing on even like bread would be difficult for me. So yes, take breaks from jaw Botox. Don't be getting it too often. Do you need multiple sessions for jaw Botox? Usually no, but if you're unsure about how much CC you should get, I would recommend getting a little and then maybe coming in for another session. How do you know when it's time for another touch-up? Usually I can tell because I feel like my face starts looking wider again. And another way I can tell is I clench my jaw, and then if it comes out more than it usually does, then that means it's time for another touch-up. How much do you currently inject in your jaws? Usually doctors will recommend you to put 10 cc on each side to see a result. So before I was actually getting 10 to 12 cc put on each side, and I realized that I liked the results the best around the 6-month mark. And that wasn't too big of an issue for me. It was just that like after the results started kicking in 2 weeks after I got them injected, my face looked slimmer, but it was slimmer than I would have liked for it to look. I wanted it to be a little bit fuller, but I knew that it would end up giving me the results I wanted just a few months later. So I didn't think it was too big of an issue. But then I brought it up with my nurse and she's like, oh, maybe we should just be putting less in then so that the results that you get after 2 weeks is just exactly what you want instead of having to wait a few months. So it didn't hurt to try. She was like, you know, if you don't see the results at all, then you can just come back in and then we'll put more in. So we put 8 cc on each side and I really liked the results. Why did you choose jaw Botox over jaw surgery? I've always looked for non-invasive procedures because I'm scared that I won't like the result if I go under the knife. But that's not totally out of the picture. I've considered getting jaw surgery before. If I start getting sick of getting jaw Botox, maybe I'll just do it. And then some people ask questions about both procedures, so I'm gonna get into those now. Are there any risks for people with sensitive skin? So I have sensitive skin. I've never seen any side effects from the needles, but if you're worried about it, then I would talk to your nurse about it. And then I got a few questions about pain levels. So my pain tolerance is like medium, I think. And for me, jaw Botox was like a 2 to 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. And then for lip filler, that one was a little bit more painful. When I first got it done, I remember telling the nurse that on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate it a 7 pain level. Now that I've been getting it more, I've gotten more used to it. And so I think it would be more like a 5 or a 6, but the dissolving for lip filler is extremely painful. I would rate that like maybe an 8. What they do is they inject the dissolver much like they would with a lip filler. They just put it into your lips and then it ends up dissolving. But like, I don't know, there's something about it that's way more painful than lip filler is. Prices, for pricing, it depends on the location and how many cc you get, like how many units you get. So I think it varies practice to practice, person to person, like wherever you go. You can always get a consultation and get a quote. Where do you get both done? So I actually get both done by Nurse Susanna. I've talked about her quite a bit on my Instagram. I highly recommend her. Ever since I've gone to her, I literally cannot think about switching to any other nurse. It's like what I said about doing your research and finding people who can get the results that you want. Out of all of the jaw Botox places I've been to, she's just the best. Like, she's the only one who's never messed up my smile, and I feel like that's the easiest thing to mess up with jaw Botox. So whenever any of my friends come to me and ask me about jaw Botox, I'm like, you need to go to Susanna, because once you've been botched, you will never want to get botched ever again. Nobody wants to get botched in the first place, but having to live with a botched smile for like a year, you don't want to go through that. Finding a nurse you like is very difficult. You can't just hop around letting different nurses touch your face and potentially botch you. What to know for first timers and anything you wish you knew before. I think I've told you guys everything I wish I knew before in this video, but something I wish I had personally done before I went through all of those botch procedures is to check Instagram. Like, you can check Yelp or Google reviews, but Instagram is like the photo, well, it's supposed to be the photo sharing app. I was able to check my nurse's Instagram and see her like essentially her online portfolio and see all of the before and after pictures. I don't trust like a 5-star review with no pictures. I need to see pictures. So yeah, that's my best recommendation for vetting a nurse, is look through their Instagram. Try to find the procedure that you want, see their before and afters. If they don't have any pictures, then I personally wouldn't go to them because you can't really see the result. And it also probably means that they don't do that procedure often, so maybe they're not as experienced with it. And that concludes this video on everything you need to know about jaw Botox / lip filler before you get them. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any more questions that I didn't answer, just comment it and I will try my best to answer everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you liked me, remember to follow me on all my social media, which will be linked in the description box down below. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!